Ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard the Wright Flyer. This is your captain, Randy Wright speaking, and as always, I want to take this opportunity to personally thank you for choosing to fly the friendly airwaves with us here at Radio Aviation Excellence, the Wright Flyer. Well, folks, here it is. It is January the 6th, 1 year after the left was so horrified that they claimed that a little demonstration by people marching in the street, irrespective of all of the burning, the looting, the destruction that had occurred during the Summer of Love, in response to Fentanyl Floyd's death, that, when the Washington, D.C. police opened the barricades and invited people in, that this was an insurrection, that our democracy was under attack. Well, the most popular administration to have ever assumed the reins of political power in the United States, that of fumbling, mumbling, Beijing Joe Biden, just couldn't allow this opportunity to slip them by. They couldn't allow this to go away. A propagandist narrative victory for them is exactly what they were aiming for, and it's exactly what they thought they were going to get with this. And so Joe Biden, this morning, decided that he was going to make an address to the nation to console us in this time of disunity, and to prove again that he is the most popular and powerful of presidents that we've ever had. And to ensure this, he went to the first ever POS, as Crowder likes to call her, VP, Kamala Harris. Now, Kamala decided to compare this to Pearl Harbor, the date of infamy in which the Japanese attacked the United States naval base in Pearl Harbor, and some 2,000-plus Americans were murdered in a dastardly sneak attack. Well, they're comparing this, where the only person who died was Ashley Babbitt, an unarmed veteran who posed no threat to anyone, was the one who died. No, isn't it interesting that they want to compare this to Pearl Harbor? But don't just take my word for it. Let me go ahead and transition over here so that we can hear the first POS VP we've ever had tell us in her own words just exactly what happened.
Certain dates echo throughout history, including dates that instantly remind all who have lived through them where they were and what they were doing when our democracy came under assault. Dates that occupy not only a place on our calendar.
I can't stomach it anymore. I mean, yeah, she goes on for a full minute, but who really cares? Who really cares? Because they're not saying anything of importance. They're just circling the wagons to do a propagandist narrative, an announcement. This is the type of chicanery that I talked about in my merry January 6th Eve video yesterday. It's the left doing all they can to claim victory where they have none. It's them trying to compare this to Pearl Harbor. You notice they skipped 9/11. They don't want to talk about that one. They want to sit there, however, and say that conservative, Constitution-loving American citizens are a direct threat. They want to sit there and say that veterans of these United States of America are a grave danger. They want to sit there and say parents who are compared, or rather concerned about their children being force-fed communist propaganda under the guise of so-called critical race theory are terrorists, and then they want to sit there and gaslight us about even that. This is the duplicitous, two-faced nonsense that has risen to the center since Joe Biden assumed power last year. But what has happened in the years since he's been in office? Well, gas prices have gone through the roof. We are no longer energy independent. We're no longer the masters of Afghanistan. Everywhere we turn, things are worse off today than they were on the day he assumed office. We're worse off today than we were when supposedly the worst ever attack on democracy ever happened. Except that we're not a democracy. We're a representative republic. Again, it's all part of the propagandist shilling that they've been doing since the fiasco of the 2020 presidential election. And they have to double down. They have to double down because they know they're not popular. They know that the American people are looking at their bank returns, are looking at their increased taxes, are looking at the shambles that everything is in right now, and they're watching their country fall apart. In New York City, the new city attorney has come out and basically said that they're not going to prosecute any property crimes, so that they're going to follow the model that has been set by Portland, Seattle, San Francisco, Austin, all of these blue hellholes. They're following that model. Why? Why is it that this is the model that they are holding up? It's easy. The reason they're holding up this model is because they want you to be shunned. They want you to be attacked. They want you to be frightened. They want you to feel that everything is falling apart so that you turn to the government to resolve the problem that government itself has created. And everywhere we turn now, we see that the Democrats are going to be underwater in this, a midterm election year. Don't be surprised if they attempt to double down on Faucist masturbating, where they're going to attempt to lock us down again, where they're going to attempt to fearmonger, where they're going to attempt to divide and conquer again. Because of their failed policies, and because of the disastrous results that their failed policies have unleashed upon this country. They lack the self-awareness. And it's not that they lack the self-awareness, it's that it would be politically disadvantageous for them to admit this problem. And so they're going to pretend as though it is their political opponents that have created this problem. They're going to sit there and point the finger of blame at you and I and every liberty-loving person in the land of the free and the home of the brave, because they don't want to face facts. They don't want to face reality. But remember, the Vice President of these United States of America, with a straight face, actually went out there and attempted to compare this, a day in which the only person who died, Ashley Babbitt, was an unarmed veteran of the armed forces of these United States of America, to Pearl Harbor. It's disgusting. Remember, these are the same people that want to tear down statues and rewrite our history. These are the people that want us to accept the 1619 Project, which is based on blatant lies and propaganda. This is the face of Marxism in the 21st century. And they're going to sit there and attempt to gaslight you and tell you that you're full of crap if you say any of that, if you attempt to point out the cultural Marxist Frankfurt School origins of all of this, by claiming that, no, communism died when the Soviet Union fell. No, that's not true. Communist China's still there. Communist Vietnam's still there. Cuba is still communist, Venezuela is communist, and right now Washington, D.C. is feeling pretty communist as well. All of this narrative that they are attempting to foist down upon us in entertainment, in education, and in the halls of government itself are anti-American and are against the clear and concise language contained within the four corners of our shared Constitution. This will continue unabated until we remind them that they do not get to silence us, that they do not have carte blanche to run this country as wannabe potentates and dictators, and that these laughable notions, which have no connotation nor any connection with reality, will never be tolerated in an open, honest, and free society. Who honestly believes any of this other than the sycophants and Pavlov's School of Journalism? Nobody. Nobody with two brain cells left to rub together could. And again, let's listen in just a little bit more to see how ridiculous this nonsense is, because it's very ridiculous.
But a place in our collective memory. December 7th, 1941. September 11th.
Oh, she did mention September 11th. Good, good. That was your failed policies, too, that led to that. But please continue.
2001. And January 6th, 2021.
Oh.
On that day, I was not only Vice President-elect, I was also a United States Senator.
You were also a former prosecutor who had violated the rights of people, that had gone out of her way to ensure that constitutional rights were violated, who would go after the parents of those who couldn't go to school. You were great. But please, continue.
And I was here at the Capitol that morning at a classified hearing with fellow members of the Senate Intelligence Committee. Hours later, the gates of the Capitol were breached.
No, they were opened. They were opened. They were opened. But please, continue.
I had left, but my thoughts
we had hoped you had stayed away.
Immediately turned not only to my colleagues, but to my staff.
That's amazing.
Who had been forced to seek refuge in our office, converting filing cabinets into barricades.
Except you had commando units who were all over the city, Miss Harris. You had commando units that obviously didn't feel as though they were under threat. They didn't move. And if you were doing all of this, then why were the Capitol Police opening the barricades? And why is it that the only person who died in all of this, Ashley Babbitt, was an unarmed veteran of the armed forces of the United States? You see, it's a propagandist narrative. It's a propagandist agenda hit piece. It is designed to spread fear and disinformation. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to keep all of this in mind, particularly when you go to the polls this November. This sort of childish chicanery cannot be tolerated, and it will not be tolerated. This is what we have to remember. These people are grandstanding. They're making a mountain out of a molehill, and they're wanting to further infringe upon our rights, to further marginalize us, to further alienate us, and to further divide us. No. That is not the America I know and love. And I think I'm pretty safe in assuming that that's probably not the America that you know and love either. So once again, ladies and gentlemen, keep this in mind throughout this election year, and vote for the self-preservation that we all must have, and for the rejuvenation and the revitalization of our Constitution. Thanks for tuning in, ladies and gentlemen. I'll see you again next time. Please do take care. Thanks again.